Picture this 1837 Illinois prairie. Farmers watching their crops rot because the sticky black soil clogs their plows every few feet. Enter a Vermont blacksmith with a broken sawmill blade and an idea that would literally feed the world. John Deere didn't just build a better plow, he built the foundation of American agriculture. Let's dig into the iron and steel that transformed farming forever. 10. The Blacksmith's Revolution. In Grand Detour, Illinois, John Deere was a typical blacksmith turning out hay forks, horseshoes, and other essentials for life on the prairie when he noticed something troubling. The wood and cast iron plow used in the eastern United States from the 1820s was not suited to the heavy, sticky soils of the prairies. Farmers had to stop every few feet to scrape off the gumbo like soil that stuck to their plows like glue. That's when Deere spotted opportunity in adversity. With steel scarce in the area, Deere acquired a broken steel saw blade and from it crafted a new type of moldboard plow. The genius wasn't just the material, it was the shape. The moldboard was polished steel, famously from a broken saw blade, whose smooth surface shed the sticky prairie soil. That polished steel surface let the soil slide off clean, earning it the nickname the self-scouring plow. The impact was immediate and profound. The plow was so successful that by 1846, Deere was selling almost 1,000 a year. By 1848, Deere moved his operation to Moline, Illinois, positioning himself along the Mississippi River for better transportation. By 1856, he was selling more than 13,000 such plows a year. Deere's famous motto emerged during this period: "I will never put my name on a product that does not have in it the best that is in me." It wasn't just a plow that broke the plains, it was a standard of excellence that would define American farming. 9. The Waterloo Boy Era and Model D Dynasty. The year 1918 marked John Deere's entry into the tractor business when they acquired the Waterloo Gasoline Engine Company. But the real revolution came in 1923 with the John Deere Model D tractor, which became the first tractor built, marketed, and named John Deere. This wasn't just another tractor, it was the beginning of a 30-year production dynasty. The two-cylinder kerosene-burning engine produced 15 horsepower at the drawbar and 22 at the belt. And in the mid-1920s, a farmer could obtain a Model D for about $1,000. The distinctive Johnny Popper sound of that two-cylinder engine became the soundtrack of American farms. Over its production life, the D evolved through several variations from the early spoker models with their spoke flywheels prone to cracking to the nickel hole versions, and finally the later styled versions designed by Henry Dreyfuss in 1939. The Model D's durability was unmatched. With a production run of 31 years, the Model D had the longest production run of any tractor, with 159,083 units built according to company records. These machines were so well built that thousands still operate today, pulling their weight on farms and at tractor shows across America. When production finally ended in 1953, demand was still so high that Deere decided to build one last run. The tractors were built in the street right outside the production building. These tractors became known as streeters by collectors. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. 8. The War Years and Hidden Heroes. When World War II erupted, John Deere answered the call in ways most folks never knew about. In addition to farm machinery, John Deere manufactured military tractors and transmissions for the M3 tank. They also made aircraft parts, ammunition, and mobile laundry units to support the war effort. But perhaps the most intriguing contribution was their attempt at building armored tractors. By early 1941, 2 prototypes were built in secret at the Waterloo plant and shipped to the Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland for testing. They were designed to carry a 3-man crew, a driver, and 2 gunners. These John Deere Model A tractors were fitted with heavy armor plating and machine gun turrets. The tractor tanks proved to be underpowered, slow, and top-heavy, and never made it to production, but they showed Deere's willingness to innovate for the war effort. Meanwhile, Charles Deere Weyman, the great-grandson of John Deere and president of the company, accepted a commission as a colonel in the U.S. Army. Before leaving for service, he encouraged engineers to continue developing tractors, knowing they'd need improved machines when peace returned. This foresight paid off enormously. Despite material shortages and production limitations, Deere managed to keep farmers equipped. Some tractors were even shipped on steel wheels when rubber became scarce, keeping food production going when the nation needed it most. 7. The Letter Series legacy. The 1930s through 1950s saw John Deere introduce what collectors now call the Letter Series models A, B, G, H, and more. Each letter represented a different size and power class, giving farmers options for every operation. The Model A, introduced in 1934, became the row crop standard. The smaller Model B, launched in 1935, was perfect for smaller farms and lighter work. The research and development work that Charles Deere Weyman had championed before his military service paid massive dividends during this era. The late Model A, emerging after the war, showcased the technological advancements Deere engineers had quietly perfected during the conflict years. 5 years of production, nearly 118,000 of the late A tractors were built, making it easily the best seller of the series and giving international harvesters farmall serious competition. Production numbers tell the story of their success. During the war years, despite restrictions, John Deere kept building. The Model H served unique roles, with some farmers even using them as personal transportation to reach aircraft spotter posts during their civil defense duties. These tractors weren't just machines, they were partners in feeding America and the Allied forces. The distinctive green and yellow paint scheme became as recognizable as the American flag in farm country. By the 1950s, if you drove through rural America, you'd hear the distinctive two-cylinder putt-putt sound echoing across the fields from Models A, B, G, and H, working everything from cornfields to hay meadows. 6. The New Generation Revolution. On August 30th, 1960, John Deere dealers from around the world converged on Dallas, Texas for an unprecedented product showcase. Deere Day in Dallas, as the event was called, introduced the world to the new generation of power. This wasn't just a product launch, it was a complete reimagining of what a farm tractor could be. The line of tractors introduced that day was 5 years in the making, and the event itself took months to plan. Deere chose Dallas to host the event partly because it was home to facilities large enough to accommodate the 6,000 guests. The Dallas Memorial Auditorium, Cotton Bowl, and Texas State Fairgrounds all played host to this massive unveiling. For the first time, John Deere was moving away from their iconic two-cylinder engines to modern 4- and 6-cylinder designs. The 3010 and 4010 models led the charge, offering unprecedented power, comfort, and hydraulics. These tractors featured the industry's first truly integrated hydraulic systems, power steering as standard equipment, and the synchro range transmission, with power shift arriving on the 4020 and 3020 in 1964. The closed-center hydraulic system could operate multiple implements simultaneously without losing power. Farmers who attended that day in Dallas witnessed the end of one era and the birth of another. The new generation tractors would dominate American farms for the next decade, setting standards the competitors scrambled to match. 5. The legendary 4020 and peak power. If you ask any farmer who grew up in the 1960s and 70s about their favorite tractor, chances are they'll mention the John Deere 4020. The John Deere 4020 was produced from 1964 to 1972 and offered improvements including more horsepower, heavier rear axles, and a differential lock. This wasn't just an evolution, it was the perfection of the row crop tractor concept. The 4020 diesel has a 6-cylinder engine tested at 84 drawbar and 91 PTO horsepower. John Deere's synchro range transmission with 8 forward speeds and 2 reverse speeds was standard. A power shift transmission was optional, but the real magic was in how it all came together. The 4020 was powerful enough for big jobs, nimble enough for row crop work, and reliable enough to become a farm's primary tractor for decades. The 4020 is significant for its great popularity. Over 184,000 units were built. It was the most popular tractor of its time. Optional features like dual rear wheels and an enclosed cab with heat and air conditioning transformed the farming experience. You could order your 4020 with an 8-track player. Imagine plowing fields while listening to Johnny Cash or Merle Haggard. These tractors are still working today, 50 years later, pulling their weight on farms across America. When John Deere introduced the Generation 2 tractors in 1972, replacing the 4020 with the 4230, many farmers kept their 4020S anyway. They knew they had something special. 4. The Sound Guard Revolution. In 1972, Deere introduced its new Generation 2 Sound Idea tractors, the 4030, 4230, 4430, and 4630. The game changer was the Sound Guard body, an insulated cab that included a rollover protective structure with a distinctive rounded windshield and came equipped with heat and air conditioning, as well as speakers for an optional radio. An 8-track tape player was also available. This wasn't just about comfort, it was about productivity and safety. Farmers could now work longer hours without fatigue, protected from dust, chemicals, and weather. The Sound Guard cab reduced noise levels so dramatically that operators could have normal conversations or enjoy music while working. The distinctive bubble-shaped cab became an icon of modern farming, visible from miles away crossing the prairie. The Iron Horse series followed in the late 1970s, with models like the 4440 becoming legendary for their reliability. The 4440, producing 130 horsepower, hit the sweet spot of power and efficiency. These tractors introduced features we take for granted today: ergonomic controls, climate control, and electronic monitoring systems. They bridged the gap between mechanical simplicity and electronic sophistication. Many consider this era the golden age of farm tractors, powerful enough for modern farming, simple enough for farmers to maintain, and built like tanks. Visit any farm auction today and watch the bidding heat up when a well-maintained 4440 crosses the block. 3. The electronic age and global expansion. The 1990s marked John Deere's transition into the digital age. GPS guidance systems introduced in the late 1990s revolutionized precision farming. Suddenly, tractors could drive straighter than any human operator, work at night, and eliminate overlap in fields. The 8000 series, introduced in 1994, brought unprecedented power to row crop farming, with models ranging from the 160 horsepower 8100 to the 225 horsepower 8400. These tractors were so far ahead that it would be another 4 years until a competitor had tractors that were similar to them. But the real revolution was happening in the cab. The Green Star system, launched in the late 1990s, turned tractors into rolling data centers. Yield monitors, variable rate applications, and field mapping became standard tools. Farmers could now track every seed, every gallon of fuel, and every pass through the field. The command center display replaced banks of gauges with touchscreen controls. This era also saw John Deere become truly global. In 1963, Deere became the largest tractor manufacturer in the world. And by the 1990s, factories in Brazil, India, and China joined the manufacturing network. The company that started with a broken sawmill blade in Illinois was now feeding the world from every continent. The 7000 and 8000 series tractors became the backbone of large-scale agriculture worldwide. Features like AutoTrack automatic steering, introduced in 2002, let farmers focus on implement operation while the tractor drove itself along precise paths. University studies showed that operators tend to overlap 5 to 13% over the course of an entire day. AutoTrack reduced this to nearly zero, meaning a producer with 740 acres actually worked 740 acres, not 815. The integration of technology wasn't just about efficiency, it was about sustainability, helping farmers produce more food with less fuel, fewer chemicals, and reduced soil compaction. The 8000 series design story is legendary among engineers. Designer Terrell Woods sketched the initial concept on an airline ticket envelope. That envelope is now in the Smithsonian. The tractors featured a revolutionary 99% turning radius that seemed impossible at the time. In testing, they could turn a figure 8 inside the turning radius of competitor tractors. The PowerTech engines proved incredibly durable, with many running well over 15,000 hours. The 16-speed PowerShift transmission has proven bulletproof over nearly 30 years of service. By 2006, John Deere was the largest agricultural equipment manufacturer in the world, with almost $20 billion in sales. The digital revolution had transformed farming from art to science, with every decision backed by data. The cab of a 2000s-era John Deere looked more like a spaceship cockpit than the open-air seats of previous generations. Farmers could monitor field conditions, adjust implement settings on the fly, and even receive real-time weather updates, all while the tractor drove itself with sub-inch accuracy. 2. The autonomous revolution. The 2010 S brought capabilities that would seem like science fiction to farmers of previous generations. John Deere's nearly 2 decades of strategic planning and investment in automation, data analytics, GPS guidance, Internet of Things, connectivity, and software engineering culminated in something remarkable. In 2022, John Deere launched the 8R autonomous tractor, ready for large-scale production. The autonomous tractor uses 6 pairs of stereo cameras, which enables 360-degree obstacle detection and the calculation of distance for things seen in the cameras. But this isn't some far-off dream. It's working in fields right now. Using Operations Center Mobile, you can monitor your tractor anytime, anywhere, with a smartphone or tablet. You'll also receive alerts if the tractor senses an obstacle or mechanical issue. The technology builds on what farmers already know. The retrofittable kit pops right onto 2020 and newer 8R and 8RX tractors and 2022 and newer 9R and 9RX tractors. You don't need to buy a whole new fleet. Your existing iron can join the autonomous revolution. This isn't replacing farmers, it's multiplying them. While the autonomous tractor handles tillage, the farmer can repair equipment, check crops, or spend time with family. The company's goal is to have a fully autonomous farming system for row crops in place by 2030. From John Deere's first steel plow to tractors that drive themselves, we're witnessing the next agricultural revolution. The path to autonomy wasn't cheap or easy. In 2017, Deere acquired Blue River Technology for $305 million. Blue River's see and spray technology uses computer vision and machine learning to recognize individual plants, spraying herbicide only on weeds and fertilizer only on crops, reducing chemical usage by more than 90%. Their robots make over 5,000 decisions per minute, processing images in 100 milliseconds to determine whether to spray or not. Today, Blue River's technology touches 10% of lettuce grown in the United States. Then, in 2021, Deere acquired Bear Flag Robotics for $250 million. Bear Flag's retrofit autonomy stack uses cameras, LiDAR, and radar for redundant situational awareness. Their technology started as a simple idea: what if existing tractors could drive themselves? The Bear Flag team remains in Silicon Valley, working alongside Blue River and John Deere Labs to push the boundaries of what's possible. The numbers tell the story of Deere's commitment. Over $555 million invested in just 2 acquisitions, plus billions more in internal research and development. The autonomous 8R isn't just a tractor, it's a rolling supercomputer with neural networks trained on millions of field images. Each tractor generates terabytes of data per season, learning and improving with every pass. The global fleet of autonomous Deere tractors may be less than 50 today, but that's changing fast. Farmers who've used them report working 20-hour days without fatigue, covering twice the acreage with half the stress. The future isn't coming. It's already here, rolling through fields at 5 miles per hour, making agriculture history one furrow at a time. 1. The legacy lives on. Here's what amazes me most about John Deere. Somewhere right now, a farmer is starting up a 1940s Model B to feed cattle. Down the road, another is climbing into a brand new autonomous 8R. Both carry the same leaping deer logo, the same commitment to quality that John Deere demanded in 1837. In 2014, the Smithsonian Museum named John Deere's original plow design as one of the objects that changed American history. That broken sawmill blade didn't just create a company, it created a culture. The green and yellow machines became symbols of American agriculture, productivity, and innovation. From the prairie-breaking plows of the 1800s to the two-cylinder Johnny Poppers that won World War II on the home front. From the new generation that transformed farming comfort to today's autonomous machines guided by satellites, John Deere has been there every step of the way. The numbers tell part of the story: billions of acres plowed, billions of people fed. But visit any farm show, tractor pull, or rural coffee shop, and you'll hear the real story. It's in the grandfather teaching his grandkid to drive the same 4020 he learned on. It's in the collector lovingly restoring a Model D. It's in the young farmer using an autonomous tractor to work ground his great-grandfather first broke with a walking plow. John Deere didn't just build machines, they built the tools that let America feed the world, and they're still building them today. From a Vermont blacksmith shop to autonomous tractors guided by artificial intelligence, John Deere has spent nearly 200 years keeping one promise: building the best equipment possible to help farmers feed the world. Whether you've got a classic Johnny Popper in the barn or you're watching satellites guide your planter, you're part of this incredible legacy. These machines didn't just change farming, they changed history. If you enjoyed this journey through American agricultural history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got more stories of the machines that built America coming your way. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your tractor in the shed.